fish meal. It's going to be tilapia with citrus, linguine with sun-dried tomatoes, and sesame broccoli. It's going to taste amazing. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to cook our pasta. Now with the ProHealth Ultra System cookware, you need to add water with anything that's dried, whether it's pasta, dried beans, anything like that. You're going to add water just as you normally would. I'm going to add a pinch of salt for some flavor. We're going to drop our linguine right in the pan. Going to give it a quick stir because we don't want anything sticking to the bottom. We're going to let it just continue to cook here in the Dutch oven. For our sesame broccoli, we're going to need to toast our sesame seeds. So the first thing I'm going to do is preheat the pan. You're going to preheat your pan on medium heat if you have an electric stove. Gas stoves tend to cook a little bit hotter, so you might want to go down to medium low. One of the things you want to remember with our cookware is that all stoves cook different. So yours might cook a lot hotter than mine, so you just want to play with the temperature just a little bit. If you find that it's getting really hot, just turn it down a tad. Let's get our sesame seeds. We've got a tablespoon of sesame seeds here. I'm going to take a little colander and I'm going to drop it right in. I'm going to add some water so they get nice and toasty in the pan. Just give them a quick rinse. I'm going to set it right here. Now, I'm going to test the pan to see if it's preheated. The easiest way to test the pan to see if it's preheated is just dab a little bit of water on your finger or on the end of a fork, and you're going to sprinkle it into the pan. When the water beads up and dances around, kind of like Quicksilver or mercury or even baby oil if you jump in the pool, that's the exact right temperature. That's where you want it. So let me get a tad bit of water and give it a quick test. Make sure it's ready to heat, ready to cook, and you see how they beat it up and danced around the pan? That means it's exactly at the right temperature. We're going to toss our sesame seeds right in there so that they can get nice and toasty. They're going to start popping a little bit. And once they start popping, we're going to pull them right off of the burner until we're ready to put them in our broccoli. Give them a quick toss around. We've got a tablespoon of sesame seed here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cook our fish. So it's citrus fish, so we've got all these citrus ingredients. We've got lime. I'm just going to slice straight down, and you want it about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's going to be the perfect thickness because we're actually going to cook our tilapia right atop the citrus, which is going to be able to marinate, and the flavors will be able to marinate into the fish. It's going to bring out the natural flavors in your fish. It's going to taste amazing. You can see our sesame seeds are done, so we're just going to place them to the side so that they don't cook anymore. You don't want burnt sesame seeds. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our tilapia ready. We're going to cook it right on top of the citrus. So I'm just going to take a few slices. I went ahead and prepared a few before we started. I'm going to put some lime, some orange, and you see this color? It just looks beautiful. And just wait until you see this on the plate. It's going to be amazing. Now my tilapia is waiting for me in the refrigerator, so I'll go and grab that. Use darn good seasoning on our tilapia. It's an all-purpose seasoning with a Cajun flair. It is really, really good. You're going to sprinkle it on both sides. And I like to use my tongs when I'm flipping, when I'm handling meats. That way I don't have to wash my hands quite as often. If you are going to touch your meat with your hands, it's good to have one wet hand and one dry hand to where if you need to grab something, you can still do that. I'm going to walk right over here. I'm going to place this. Now we're cooking the tilapia on a pan that is not preheated. We don't need to preheat the pan here. We're going to put the lid on, and you're going to take your tri-vent whistle and you're going to open it to the whistle portion. You'll notice a line right here, and you want to make sure that whistle part where you have the hole is open. You're going to place your burner on medium heat. Make sure I'm doing the front here. Again, with gas stoves, you might have to go a little bit lower in the temperature because every stove is going to cook a lot different. So we've got our tilapia. What we're going to wait on is the whistle. When the whistle blows, we just turn the whistle off. You don't have to think, you don't have to flip the fish. You notice anytime you've ever flipped fish, you see that it breaks apart. You don't have to do that here, so that when you plate this fish, it is going to look extraordinary. Now we're going to prepare our broccoli. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the florets right off of the stem. I've already got about 1.5 cups ready, so I only need a few florets. Now if you find any brown on your broccoli, you want to make sure to cut that part away. You just don't need to eat that part. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut through the stem here, the stalk. We're going to take the stalk of the broccoli, and this is going to be where you're going to find most of your flavor. I'm going to cut away the outside portion. That's not going to be very tender and it's not going to be very tasty, so we're going to get rid of that. We're just going to slice that with the paring knife and cut all of that away. It should just take a second or two to do. I'm going to slice this in half and just cut a couple pieces off. You're going to toss this directly into your bowl. Yep, got a stem here that I've missed. Cut that part away. Drop that directly in. One thing I found is that when you're cooking, and especially around the cutting board, you always have trash. And if you go back and forth from the trash can to the cutting board, it just takes up a lot of time. We're all about quick and easy. So I keep a trash bowl just underneath the counter so I can just scrap anything that we don't need. We need to take our broccoli to our pan. You put your vegetables in a pan that has not been heated. It's going to be in a cold pan. You're going to place them in the pan, and I'm going to give them a quick rinse because it's fresh broccoli. We're going to rinse just at the sink, rinse away anything that is left from the farm. And when you're cooking vegetables, you only need a tablespoon of water. What I do instead of measuring everything out, which is time consuming, is I just put a little bit of water in the corner of the pan. I left just a little bit of water in there now. You're going to take your tri-vent whistle and you're going to turn it to open. You notice that that's where this line is. You're always going to open it, and you're going to put your vegetables on medium heat. Now, we're just going to wait for those to whistle. You don't have to stir, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to pot watch, you're not going to lift your lid up and down. You just walk away and move on to the next thing you're doing. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir our pasta once more. Prevent it from sticking. And you guys hear the whistles going? You notice I really haven't done anything to the fish since we've put it in the pan. So once it whistles, you're going to close your whistle, and you make sure that the closed end is at the line here. And for a gas stove, you're going to turn your burner down to low. For an electric stove, you'll turn it completely off. The electric stove is going to maintain some of that heat. Of course, on a gas stove, once you turn it off, it's gone. So we're going to leave it on low for just a few more minutes. Now, our pasta is ready. It's off. I just want to give it a stir. I'm going to go ahead and cut up our basil and get it ready. We're going to use chiffonade, which is the method for cutting up the basil. You don't want to just chop basil up. You want to be careful with how you cut it because it's going to bruise very easily, and you want to keep it pretty and green. I'm going to take my cutlery here. I'm just going to slide it straight across. And you're just going to sprinkle this on top of your pasta. It gives a wonderful presentation, so if you're having your in-laws over or just friends, this part you don't need the stems. You can just toss that into your trash bowl and you're done. We'll put this directly on top of the sun-dried tomatoes. We have 12 chopped sun-dried tomatoes. We've added 1 tablespoon of the oil directly from the pan. I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon so that we have 2 total. This oil has just, the tomatoes have been marinating down in this oil, and it's going to just taste wonderful, and it's going to have great aroma, great color, and it's going to look beautiful on top of your pasta. So I'm going to add that there. Now we're going to drain our pasta. You don't want to overcook your pasta. I have a colander waiting right here for me. So I'm going to pour that directly into the colander. That's going to catch my pasta for me. Put this aside. Give it a few shakes just to get any of the water that's remaining in there out. You don't want soggy pasta. I'm going to shake that off. Over here I have my dome cover waiting for me. The nice thing about the Dutch oven is you can take the dome cover and you can flip it over and you can actually use it as a serving piece. Here we go. Well, got a little bit hanging on there. I'm going to shake it off. Here we go. And put it right in here. Let's get rid of this. We don't need that. We have our 12 finely chopped sun-dried tomatoes and our basil already ready for us. We have 1 tablespoon of the oil that came from the sun-dried tomatoes directly from the jar. I'm going to put 1 more tablespoon in there for us. Just going to give a great flavor. Of course, it's been marinating with all of those tomatoes. It is going to taste unbelievably good. I can't wait to try it. I'm going to toss this directly into our pasta, into our linguine. You're going to give it a quick toss. It's beautiful once you put everything in. You see the reds and the greens. It's just a beautiful dish. And that is all ready. Now, the fish, our tilapia, should be ready. We're going to turn the burner off there. Our broccoli, we're going to turn the burner off there because we don't want to overcook the broccoli. So we're pretty much wrapped up here. All we have to do is we're going to put it on our beautiful plates. We're going to get ready and we're going to eat it and we're going to enjoy. Now we've turned our tilapia off. We've turned our broccoli off. All we need to do now is we need to add our sesame seeds into our broccoli. This just tastes amazing with the toasted, the crunchy sesame seeds. I'll put those right on top. And just to refresh how long it took to cook everything, our broccoli whistled after about 3 or 4 minutes. Once it whistles, you can do 2 things. You can either turn the burner completely off if you like it crisp and fresh. If you want it to be a little bit softer, like I did, I turned the burner down to low for maybe 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes. You just want to be very careful that you don't forget it's cooking because then you're going to overcook it. The tilapia whistled after about 3 or 4 minutes. We turned the burner down to low. We let it continue to cook about 8 to 10 minutes and then it's ready. When you know fish is ready is when you take the fork and it just flakes apart easily. Of course, we have our linguine ready. So we're all ready to toss our broccoli with the olive oil, the very last step to preparing this awesome meal. We're going to just toss a little bit on there and we're ready to enjoy. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get our plate out and let's get it on the plate. And let's start. Get this ready. Let's get this out of the way. Just going to put it directly on our plate. You can just see the red and the green coming out. Going to get our broccoli out with our toasted sesame and put it right there, just like that. And last but not least, we need to get the tilapia out. Get a spatula. Oh, do you see the steam coming out? It's nice and hot, ready for us. And it is tender and it is going to flake easily. Just tell as I was picking it up. It's going to taste amazing. And here you go. This is a healthy meal prepared without vegetables, without water. so that it retains the vitamins and nutrients, the color, and most importantly the flavor, because we're not going to eat it if it doesn't taste good. We have fish that's healthy, it's naturally low in fat, low in cholesterol. It's going to be good for your family, good for you. And we have our pasta here, our linguine with the fresh basil and the sun-dried tomatoes. The flavors are going to interact with each other and it's going to taste just unbelievable.